this slide that we put up on the big screen here, I think tells a great story, and I'll try to hit this somewhat efficiently. But this is really a picture of the anatomy of the global supply chain crisis. And you sort of have to think back to what happened in January and February of 2020. Asia shut down, stopped shipping goods around the world. We hadn't quite felt the burden or the fear of COVID, but by February, March, the COVID hit the U.S. and our spending dropped considerably, 30%. At the same time, ocean carriers cut capacity, as they should do in times like that. And then when consumers started buying again, ships were not necessarily in the right place. Containers were not necessarily in the right place. But the demand for import cargo became so high that, as you know and have heard in the press, some carriers were refusing to fill, as an example, empty containers with U.S. exports going back to Asia. But to talk about that spending whiplash, to say this, we're a $25 trillion a year economy. In April of 2020, about 4% of our economic activity is in entertainment services, travel, and the like. That stopped. A certain percentage of that $1 trillion a year, that's what 4.3% of 25 trillion is, suddenly went over to the purchase of goods, hard goods. And that just catapulted this meteoric demand for container capacity, particularly in the Trans-Pacific, but also in many other trading lanes around the world. At the same time, port workers, where there was enormous efforts made towards health and safety, of course, to some extent they were getting sick, or they were being quarantined in order to keep to mitigate the impact of the virus. Trucking early in the pandemic was hit hard. We lost a lot of independent truckers, a lot of trucking capacity came out of the system. As this pandemic matured, I think we've seen in recent months the railroads are congested. Witness UP and the BNSF actually stopping their eastbound shipment of trains from the West Coast into Chicago because the depots and the nodes that were in the Midwest were literally just regurgitating the cargo. There was no place to put it anymore. So they had to literally stop the trains for a while. And then finally, warehouses are at capacity. And I think this is where, the good intentions that were in the American Relief Act, that was the bill that the Biden administration passed soon after President Biden was elected and put in office in January, that included another extension of the unemployment benefits. So I think there's a lot of income levels that still today, and at least till the end of September, are choosing not to work rather than go back to work. All of these things put together form a pretty complicated but confluence of activities that is putting us in the situation that we're in today.